What is going on, Governor? Chisgule here, and today, man, we've got an update on the war or peace in Kingdom 51. And I recorded this video just before the patch went live, but there was no time to actually make it go live. We had so much stuff to cover with this upcoming patch that we covered it. So what you're gonna get is kind of like two videos. You're gonna get the teaser for hey, here's where we're at and here's what's happening. And then after that, I'm gonna bolt on some new stuff about the final result of everything that's happened. So I hope you enjoy watching this video about the state of Kingdom 51, and there was a lot to learn about war, peace, diplomacy, military strategy. So I hope you enjoy it, and the exciting conclusion will be at the end of the video. What is going on, Governors? Chisgule here, and today we've got an update on the war in Kingdom 51, or is it now peace? I think we're on the doorstep of an agreement that will work for everyone, and that is tremendously exciting. So with all that said, there's going to be a lot you can learn from this video, both from a strategy standpoint in war and also, a bit of diplomacy, I would hope. Now, there's a lot to talk about before we do. It's important to mention we are a sponsored creator in Rise of Civilizations, and if you like detailed strategy guides on war, you should totally like and subscribe because we're going to cover all that stuff, and Alliance Battlegrounds are just around the corner, so there is no better time. So with that said, you may recall from my prior videos, and we'll have guards up in the top, that we had some really insane wars with the Alliance Marvel. And, you know, um, those wars involved a huge number of deaths, which is really tragic for the health of the kingdom. And at the time, before this morning happened, and this morning was full of activity, which is why I'm making this video today, Marvel was in Zone 2. They did not own this pass that they now have. And we were in a sort of a weird Cold War state where we could not arrive at terms for peace, and we were just at a standstill, and both sides were growing stronger. I had received outside counsel that I should have been very aggressive, but the intent was never to cause deaths of troops or to make anyone quit. So we got into this weird Cold War state, and something happened this morning that broke that state. And these were the actions of an individual who was very well intentioned and had sort of a cool idea, but it led to a chain of actions that in many ways forced us to a situation that I think is actually good for the health of the kingdom. Here's what happened. There were flags from this alliance in red and this alliance in yellow going up to this pass. The alliance in red built a fortress. They started building one right next to the pass so that it would be easier to hold. Now, from the perspective of the person building the fortress, it's easy to see how this would be a great defensive move. From the perspective of the alliance who wants access to this area, it's obvious to see how that could be viewed as a sign of aggression. And so they took the pass because we weren't ready to defend it, nor was this alliance that was building the fort, and they moved into this area and they started destroying flags, and here's where the strategy comes in. If you take an area and you're assaulting the flags, if you are the defending force, you need to port over and be in the physical space by your flags so the enemies can't go there. And if you are the attacking force, as soon as you take down one of those flags, everybody needs to port in and hold the physical space by that flag so the enemy can't come there and take it. Because if you hold that physical space, that is a very, very valuable set of real estate. Now, it makes you sort of vulnerable to be on the front line, but this entire skirmish ended very quickly because, look, it wasn't an expected thing. The person who was building the fort was very well intentioned, was not trying to start a big conflict, and here we are. So Marv ported in, and they started to hold this land. Now, in hindsight, if we were trying to really battle, we should have ported in and held the land instead. But I was trying to negotiate at that exact moment in time because things were escalating really, really quickly, and I did not want to see another 10 million troops dead on this kingdom. Yes, 10 million plus. Possibly one of the biggest wars Rock has ever seen. I don't know. I can't claim that with any authority. Um, so I started a process of negotiation, and today was a rough day for that for me because I was supposed to be at a huge family event all day long, and I went to that event. I handed off to my officers, and there's a big lesson here, which is that you need to have enough officers so that these sorts of situations can be handled at any time by someone with authority that you can fully trust. And thankfully, my alliance members Anima, Mojo, and Fleisch picked up those reins, and there was a little bit of a gap from when like I had to go and when they could come online. Things got a little hairy when that happened. Um, but hopefully now, through those negotiations, I think we're on the doorstep of a place of peace. And it will likely involve um, Marv moving in to the Lost Temple area. In fact, an agreement almost certainly will. And I don't want to say a whole lot about the nature of the agreement until it's final. So, more to come on that. What I think is interesting about this entire experience is it's actually forced a set of conversations that I think needed to happen. And, it has forced these conversations in a way that hopefully has actually been a minimum amount of loss for all involved, which would be really a quite positive outcome. So the net outcome from this might actually be a unified kingdom, which is the best possible outcome in all worlds from my perspective, because for a long, long time, I have been advocating that we need to arrive in a place of prosperous peace, and hopefully we'll be there soon. Um, More information to follow on this as it unfolds, but I think there's a few key takeaways here that are very, very critical to the success of your alliance. First of all, if you're making an assault, you need to be ready to pour it in to hold the physical space where the flags were that you've burned down, so that you can continue to push your assault and build your own flags. Very, very critical that you do that. The other big takeaway here is that you need to have your officers available, and you need to have enough officers that you trust with enough authority to make major decisions on behalf of the alliance. And look, like we've got almost 125 people in our alliance. That is a huge organization. That is an organization that is almost so large you cannot possibly know every single member that is in it unless you've been playing with them for a long time. So, okay, P.S. interjecting with one other lesson. If you're ever building a fort, consult your other alliance members and other officers prior to building the fort, and have your entire alliance at the ready for that fort building process. During this entire skirmish, there were claims made in Kingdom chat that we were like, starting to plan this assault, and it was this big planned event. And like, look, if this had been planned, like our alliance would have been swarming. We would have had 100 cities at the doorstep of that pass, literally, if this was actually a plan. But that's what you want if you are actually trying to seriously build a fort somewhere, because the amount of resources that go into a fort building are huge. And a structure like a fort, if it's being built, it doesn't burn. It just gets destroyed if it's attacked successfully. So you need to be ready to defend it with all of your might, fully online, and that needs to be a planned event in a major, major way. So this obviously was not that, but if you are building a fort, it should be scheduled. You should have reviewed it with all your officers. It needs to be agreed upon and good use of resources. It needs to be in exactly the right position, and you need to have the right defending commander in position, fully reinforced. All the structure. Your troops need to be crawling in the physical space so enemies can't come anywhere near it. I mean, the whole 9 yards, especially if you're building something that is touching an enemy territory, touching anyone who could attack it right away. Because a fort is going to take something like 8 hours plus to build, even if you have a lot of people in it. So that is a huge window for someone to launch one successful assault, and that's all it takes is one. Whew. Yeah. A lot of things you can do to build a fort with tremendous success. All of that to say, I hope that these lessons are valuable to you as you prepare for war or peace in your kingdom. And I'll say one other thing that really made a big difference is that we had a protocol in place should this sort of a situation unfold. We knew exactly what we would do. We had an alert and escalation mechanism via chat systems to get all of our players online. We had um, the system in place for what to do if, like, I'm not available and other officers are not available, basically a chain of command. All of that sort of stuff can position your alliance for success. And we're going to have a separate leadership series that goes way more in depth on this sort of stuff. I have not been in this position long enough to do half of the things that I really want to do from a leadership perspective. So, more to follow on that. And hopefully, if we can arrive at this place of prosperous peace, I'll actually have time to do a lot of things that I've been really looking forward to do for you guys. All right, we're back. The exciting conclusion. And my friends, we've done it. We found a place of peace in Kingdom 51 with the officers of VYG and with the officers of Marvel. We have carved out a bunch of land for them to come into the Lost Temple area and grow and become strong. And it's all done. It's all done. So if I zoom out a little bit, we made some space, and more flags are going to get deleted on our part to make space for Marvel to have a nice chunk of land in the Lost Temple area. And they've assured me that this is not just an opportunity to get really strong and then attack us when it's convenient. And, I trust their officers, particularly the word of Bujan, who's very honorable. And, I don't know, breaking that agreement would be one of the most public betrayals in Rock now, since it's in this video, right? So, anyways, I trust him fully, and we're all going to get strong, and this kingdom is going to be fierce. This kingdom is going to be insanely fierce in Alliance Battlegrounds. This kingdom is going to be insanely fierce in Kingdom vs. Kingdom, because we've put in the reps. We've got the practice on how to actually wage war, and yeah, I'd be on the lookout. I'd be on the lookout. And of course, maybe KVK involves some diplomacy, and we should start talking. Anyways, my friends. So with that said, I know there's a lot of talking in this video, not a lot of battling. You should be preparing for Alliance Battlegrounds. They're just around the corner. Save your keys. There's new commanders coming. I'm excited. I hope you're excited. And if you've got questions or comments, let me know down below. This video was of a different nature than what I normally make, so hopefully you find it helpful and interesting. I have to say that diplomacy, although it's way perhaps less entertaining of a solution to watch than when we bash our brains in, is certainly my preferred approach. I have said more than once that I would much prefer that as a kingdom we unite together and we can create content together that I think is really awesome rather than bashing our brains in. So hopefully we're there. Until next time, my friends, you have fun smashing the kingdom.